Okay, we want to design a lower third. Okay, for an introduction of how to put this all together and start designing within Vizrt, we're going to design a lower third graphic. And here's an example of what we're going to do. So as we open the scene, we just click play, our lower third comes on. So this is what we're going to recreate. And what's significant about this is that we are going to use everything within the built-ins within Vizrt, so we're not going to use any external assets to do this. Everything is going to be from the built-ins. So to begin, we're going to come into our geometry primitives here. We're going to drag a rectangle up into our scene tree. First, we can double click on our container here and we can rename it. We'll call this title bar or title bar. And what we want to do is group it. So there are two ways we can do that. We can hit this little group icon up here or use this G button, and we can slide this G button down, and then we manually have to slide our rectangle into this group. This is our top container here. We're going to call this L3 design. This will be holding our back plates. Now we're going to click on the rectangle to go into the rectangle properties editor here. We're going to spread the width out to 550, and we're going to adjust the height to 45. And this will be our title bar. Now we could and we're going to adjust our height out to 45. We're going to use the built-in color within the rectangle to colorize this. So we're going to come down here and say use vertex colors. We're going to turn this on and we're going to select our first color bar. We're going to come down here and use our color wheel to select a color, and let's say we just want to use this color. Now we can just copy this down to each of the corresponding color bars within our rectangle. Next, we want to make a subbar, so we'll come over here and just copy this container, and we can do that by holding down Control, clicking and dragging. Now we want to come over to Now we want to click on the icon. Now we want to rename this container, so we'll call this one subbar. And we'll click on the rectangle icon to go into the properties editor. We're going to turn use vertex colors off, and we're going to adjust our height here to 20. Now we're just going to come into the transformation editor and move the position here right below the blue bar. And if you want to make the height a little bit more, so let's increase it to 25 or 30, and then come back into our transformation here and just move it up on the Y. Now you notice I have my bounding box on here, which will help us in the next step when we set our axis center. Last thing I want to do is just add a little design element here. So I'm just going to drag another rectangle up into the scene tree. I'm going to double click on it to rename it. We'll just call this design did or something, whatever you want to call it. We're going to click on the transformation axis editor, and we're just going to scale this down a little bit and move it to the left hand side. We'll just scale it up a bit more. Now we want to move this into position, so I'm going to turn my title Now we want to move it. Now we want to move this into position, so I'm going to turn my title safe and safe area on. I'm going to come up into my L3 container, and I'm just going to slide this down to the bottom. Next, we want to animate this on. So I'm going to come into my title bar here, and we're just going to scale this up. So we're going to turn our bounding box on and use our axis center here to set how we want to scale this on. So I want this title bar to scale up from the left and from the bottom. So I'm going to hit the little L and the B, left, L for left and B for bottom. And you can see it sets our bounding box here in the lower left corner. Now I want to set a keyframe, so I'm going Now we want to animate this, so I'm going to rewind my timeline to 0. I'm going to scale this title bar rectangle down to 0. And I'm going to hit set keyframe. And then I'm just going to reset this or scale it back up to 1 and hit set keyframe. And you can see it creates a animation icon within our container here. Now the next sub bar here, I'm going to come over to our axis center. I'm going to set the axis center X to left and set the axis center Y to T. So I'm going to use the L button and the T for top. And you can see the bounding box here is in the upper left corner of our sub bar. Again, I want to set a keyframe, so I'm going to rewind my timeline to 0. I'm going to scale this white bar down to 0. And set a keyframe. Then we'll just scale it back up to 1 and set another keyframe. Last, here we just need to scale this design did up, and we're just going to use the axis center points here at center. So we're just going to make sure to click the C button all the way down. C stands for center. And again, we're going to set keyframes. So I'm going to rewind this timeline. And this time we're going to do a little bit different. We'll work backwards. So here I'm just going to set it, my timeline, to where I want this to scale up. We're going to set the keyframe here and then rewind. And then rewind our timeline and scale this down to 0 and then set another keyframe. So we hit play. Here you can see that our lower third and our rectangles animate up. Now we can always go into the stage and adjust that. We'll do that in a minute. Next, we want to actually create our text containers. So we're going to close up this top container. We're going to drag a new group down, and we're going to go into our F or font tab here, search through our folders and find a font that you'll want to use. So here we have an Arial font. I'm just going to drag this up as a subcontainer of that group we made. Let's rename our containers. We're going to call this our text group. We're going to hit the down arrow to go to the next container. We'll call this the title text. Now we're going to click on the transformation axis icon editor to go into the editor here, and we're going to reposition our text. So we're going to move it on the X, on the Y. We'll scale it down just a bit, reposition it, and most importantly, we need to separate it from the background a bit. So what we can do, so what you want to make sure you want to do is move the Z position forward from the back plate. Now if we want to edit this text, we just click on this little ABC icon. We come into the text editor here and we can put in our new text. Next we want to add the subtext, so we're going to drag a new font up into the scene tree. We'll reposition this, so we'll use our transformation axis editor here and reposition this font. Now we'll want to color this font in two ways we can do that. We can use a material here. So if we come into our M tab and use a material, we could try and match this color up using the material. Or the other option here with our font is to come into the font editor. Under the colored section here, we can turn this on and we can click on our color bar, use the pick tool, come up and pick that color from our rectangle. Now that font color matches our rectangle. So we'll come into the transformation axis editor, we'll scale this font down a little bit more, we'll reposition it to where we want it. We'll click on the ABC icon, edit the text, and we'll call this subtext. Now we want to animate these text bars on as well. So what we're going to use to do that is the alpha. So we're going to come into our container plugins within our global folder and drag this alpha onto our top or title bar text. So we're going to click on the alpha. We want to alpha this up. So let's rewind our timeline to 0. We're going to bring our alpha property all the way down to 0. We're going to set a keyframe. Then we're going to come up into our alpha, make it 100%, and set another keyframe. So now it adds the animation icon onto our container. Next, we want to do the same thing for our subtext. So first, let's double click on it and we'll rename this. This is our subtext or subtitle, however you want to rename it. Now, instead of just dragging this alpha on and recreating the animation, what we can do is just drag this alpha down from our title text onto our subtext, and it carries that animation with it. So we hit play here, and you can see that everything animates on. Now we just need to go into the stage and adjust our keyframes and speed of the animation. So if we click on the stage button, we open up the stage, and here you can see all of our keyframes and animations. If you want to zoom into the stage, you can use your middle mouse button and then hold down the middle mouse button, and it will allow you to navigate around the stage. If you click on any container within the scene tree, it will highlight that container property within the stage and vice versa. So if we click on this subtext here within the stage, it's going to highlight it within the scene tree. Now we can come in, follow the naming conventions, and move the keyframes and or animations where we want it. So I want to move my subtext down towards the end of the animation, and same with my title text. And if you use this red bar here to scrub the animation, you can see what's happening. So if you want to adjust any part of this animation, make it faster or smaller, make it faster or slower, you can. If you want one animation to come on before the other, such as the case here, the white bar ends the animation before the blue. So you can make any type of adjustment here that you need. Again, if we rewind it and hit play, it will play real time. Speed wise, if you want to adjust everything by a whole, you can just grab this top container here and slide everything back as one. So here you can see our timeline is set to seconds, and this will come on in about 1.5 seconds when we hit play. Again, if you need to speed it up, you can adjust the keyframes individually and or by a whole by grabbing the director. Finally, the last thing that we want to do before we save this is to make sure that we have a key channel. And to do that, we're just going to group our two containers up here. So we're going to click the first one, hold down Shift and or Control, and click the other one, and it will select them. Now we can use this little Control G or group button up here, and it will group those two containers together. We're going to rename this. We'll call it lower third. And then we want to come down into our container plugins, into the globals folder, and use this key plugin and drag it onto our topmost container. This will create a key channel for us. And now if we come over into our scene editor window and check our key channel by holding or clicking on the key button here, you can see that the key channel there when we play it with the animation. Now you can see this little gap here, so if we wanted to go back and readjust this to make sure that there is no gap, we could come back into our lower third bar here and just raise the Y or increase the Y setting there, and now it gets rid of that gap. So that's how the key can sometimes be helpful in seeing if it helpful in how it's going to key out the graphic. Now we just need to save this graphic. So what we're going to do is click on our little Save As button here. We're going to navigate to a folder where we want to save it. And you can save it in a project and or folder. So you just highlight the folder and you come down to scene name and you give give it a name, so we'll type in lower third 1, and we can click OK, and the scene is now saved. Anytime you come back into the server and you navigate to that folder, you'll see a thumbnail. So here's that lower third that we just saved. If you want to close this scene and then reopen it, you just double click on that lower third thumbnail and it opens the scene. You click play, and now we have that lower third that animates on.